Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. I know, your favorite show every single week. You love coming and spending your time with us because we help you grow your business. At least we do if you implement the things that we teach you about each week. So hopefully you're doing that. And you know what? What is our qualification? Well, guys, we have been helping businesses for 27 years, literally build millions of dollars. We have helped build hundreds of millions of dollars for our clients, producing all sorts of leads and conversion, AI, automations. We have done it all. We do it all. And so we talk about real experience. Between Troy and I, we own 3 companies. And so we just share our information that we have and knowledge that we've gained over the last 27 years doing this. And it has been an awesome 27 years. And I would say our biggest tout here is that we have not had a down year. In 27 years, we have continued to grow every single year, and that is awesome. And that's what we want to help you guys do. We have helped people go from making $60,000 a year as the solopreneur wearing all the hats up to making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and then up to millions of dollars a year. And we've even helped big corporations. We kind of do everything from small solopreneurs all the way up to large publicly traded companies doing over $160 million a year. So that's what we've been doing. That's why you guys show up each week. And if you're new, we are excited to have you guys here with us. And we've got a great episode for you today. We're talking about simplicity wins in 2025. In today's noisy and fast-paced world, complexity is killing businesses, absolutely killing businesses. Too many tools, too many channels, too many over-engineered systems that are slowing you down, frustrating your customers, and burning out your team. And trust me, you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. But here's the truth. Simplicity is your secret weapon this year. Okay. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. Let's jump in, Troy, and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of kicked off this topic was a couple of weeks ago, we went to Orlando and spoke at an event there, and it was to a franchise. And as we looked at this franchise and all their franchisees and like the systems that they were utilizing, we realized, oh my gosh, this is way too complicated. Like their employees were literally bouncing between 10 different applications, 10 different pieces of software all day long, just trying to get a 360-degree view or a good picture of what was going on with their clients. And I mean, just to give you an idea, they were bouncing between their email, then going over to another platform for their text messages, then going to another platform for social media to see if there had been any communication there. Then they were going over into a CRM to check over there, then going over into their marketing software to check in there. And then they were like having to go into Google Drive and look for documents related to it. And everything was everywhere. And we're like, oh my gosh. We literally told them, we said, your team is spending way too much time on the what, meaning what is going on versus the why. Why are they actually doing what they're doing, right? Why are you there? Why are you trying to help these children that your franchise works with, and they were just so focused on the what that they didn't really get a focus on the why. And so we were like, all right, we just got to talk. There's got to be other businesses out there that are running through this same thing, right? Everything is so complex. And that you literally just can't give a good experience to your customers, your employees, and it's just hurting your business all around. So we're going to be talking about kind of ways that you can fix that in your business.
And to kind of frame that, it's like we literally created a graphic for this event where it was all of the programs they were using. And it was upwards of like 20 programs or something like that. And then we showed them how they were going to reduce that down to just 3 simple programs. 3 simple programs that were going to do so much more for them and their businesses and their employees. And let me tell you, it popped off. It popped off. And they are excited. They are already implementing it and they are doing really well. So that's kind of the key factor here is like, you can simplify and then also outperform what you were doing before.
Yeah, Exactly. So let's kind of talk about this shift of why simplicity matters more than ever in 2025, right? First off, it's, there's a changing consumer behavior going on. People want fast, clear, no fluff experiences, right? They don't want all the extra fluff. They just like, hey, what do you do? And do I need it? And how can I get it done, right? As quickly as possible. The other thing is there's a rising expectations for intuitive design and effortless service. Nobody wants to, deal with complex situations or processes. Think about like Apple, and we're going to talk a little bit about them and, how simple their phones and their devices are to use.
Yep.
The other thing is there's a lot of buzz going on around AI right now and automation. So these trends are, not only effective, but you need to make sure that you pair them with clear, simple systems and clear, simple messages. And we're going to talk about that too. It's been interesting as we have really been in the AI space now for a while and talking with businesses are like, oh my gosh, like I want to do AI and I want it to do this and this and this and this and this. And it just gets more and more complex, what they want. And I remember we were talking to one client about their like the AI answering their phones for them. And they're like, okay, here's what I want it to do. And they gave us like 20 pages of like, here's what I wanted to ask and the information that I wanted to gather from a user. And did it, like when someone calls in and all this stuff. And we literally had to sit down with him and say, okay, I need you to take just a few seconds here and think about this. If you called in to a company and they wanted you to spend the next 30 minutes on the phone answering questions, these minute details. Yeah. Are you going to stay on the phone? Whether it's a real person or whether it's AI, are you going to, spend the time on the phone to do that? And they're like, well, at first they were kind of like, well, yeah. Cause I want them to have all the information. And it's like, no. And then when we really got them to admit it, they're like, no, absolutely not. Like, and I think it was the company was like a house cleaning company. It's like, really, what do you really need to know? You need to know how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, deep clean versus regular clean, and what is the address? Those are the 5 things you need to know, and they're like, yeah, you're right. Right. So they thought that AI was going to make life so much easier and better, but then they just made it too complex. It's like, yes, AI can get you those 5 answers so that you can take care of that customer and get a quote out to them very quickly. But don't have AI make the situation complex, make it more simple for them, right? So that was another thing too. And then, really we want to talk about like the simplicity of leads to speed, and speed to is a competitive edge, right? So the more simple your processes are, the faster you're going to be able to get to your leads, and getting to your leads faster means that you're going to close more deals. So that's really important as well. So let's talk about a couple examples where simplicity is winning. And we mentioned Apple, right? Apple has built their business on consistent, clean user experience, right? It is all about, let's make it very easy and very simple for someone to use our devices. And then let's make it very user-friendly across the ecosystem. I was just talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that, our kids all have iPhones, but we have Androids. And now their kids are getting, they're older, they're like college age. And so they're all wanting Macs, for college. And, they're like, I just don't know why they want a Mac over a PC. And I'm like, well, it's really simple. They're in the ecosystem, right? Yeah. It's like everything that, happens on their phone happens through the Mac. Everything syncs seamlessly. Like it all works together and they don't even have to think about it, and by the end of the conversation, they're like, we'll probably have to switch over to Apple too, just so that it can be all seamless with our family. And, and Apple's done a great job. And I'm not saying that Google hasn't done a great job with their systems as well. Google does have a lot of great seamless things in their system as well. But Apple has really won over a large part of the market share because of that, clean, easy user interface. The other one is, think about from another industry, Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out Burger. Mm-hmm. Very simple menus, but fast execution. You compare them to say like Oh, Cheesecake Factory. You go there and it takes you 30 minutes just to get through their menu
Oh my
to try
gosh.
and, decide what you're going to eat. And that's fine if it's a sit down restaurant that's charging a lot of money. But, imagine if someone, you go to In-N-Out and someone has to sit there, for 10 minutes trying to figure out what they want to eat. No, it's all about speed, right? So it's a very simple menu and they get it done fast and they're doing volume, right? And that's why people go there. Another one is from a software perspective, like Slack. If you've ever used Slack, Slack started out as just a very simple communication system, very limited focused features. And then it was able to grow from there. But that's why people switched over to it, because they're like, wow, this is really a really easy way to communicate with my team, So these are some great examples of where simplicity is just winning out, because they're making the experience great for the consumer. All right, let's talk about 3 ways that you can make your business simpler, but more competitive as well. So number 1, we want to focus on simplify the customer journey. So I want you to think about as, people become customers. So, and that includes like from the very moment that they become a lead, all the way through the sales process, and then all the way through fulfillment, right? Think about how customers go through that journey and what is it like? Are there any unnecessary steps in that journey that are making things difficult? And how can you simplify that? I know in our business, one of the things that we recently did was with a franchise that we're working with, we realized that the onboarding process for them, there's a lot of additional steps and a lot of additional work. So we're like, okay. And there was a lot of back and forth going between our team and the owners of the franchisees. And we're like, there's got to be a simpler way to do this. So what we ended up doing was we said, you know what, instead of having a lot of, emails and everything going back and forth, we're just going to implement a discovery call. And we're going to gather all the information we need on that one phone call so that then our team can build out everything they need without having to go back and forth with the owner interrupting their day to, get questions answered. So we removed these steps out of the way and just simplified into, let's do one call, get everything we need, and then we'll move forward. So that's something you could look at. How can you simplify that journey, right? Next one is trim the internal tools and processes, right? We talked about this at the very beginning. Maybe it's time to do, really audit your tech stack. How many different programs are you utilizing that your team is bouncing in between, from this one to this one to this one, to just try and understand what's going on with your customers. So, how can you streamline that? That's one of the things that we're doing with this franchise. Again, like Trevor said, going from 10 to 20 different applications down to just a couple of applications. And every single employee that we've talked to has been like, oh my gosh, this is saving me so much time. And it's making me 2 to 3 times more efficient, right? As I do my job. The other thing is streamlining communications. So I want you to think about how you communicate with not only your customers, but also with your team. Is there a way that you can streamline that communication, put it all in one place versus multiple places? And again, that's one of the things we did with this franchise was they were bouncing around from all these different platforms to communicate. We consolidated that all into one place where now they can see all their emails, see all their text messages, all their internal communication between their team in one single place to save them so much time. So, take a look at that. How can you really streamline your communications in your company? The other thing is, the last one we're going to talk about is simplify your messaging, right? So being very clear in your message equals very clever, right? A lot of times we overcomplicate our messaging and especially our marketing messaging because we want to talk about everything that we do when really we just need to talk about what is the benefit to the customer, right? They don't care, and I know I've said this before, they don't, if I'm a pest control company, they don't care about the chemicals and the processes and how that all works.
No.
They care that the pests are gone.
That's right.
If I'm cleaning their carpets, they don't care about all the processes that's happening in the cleaning of their carpet. All they care is that when I walk out the door, their carpet looks brand new, right? And so that's what you need to do. We need to simplify the message down to what is the benefit to our consumer, and what are they going to care about? A good way to test this is if a fifth grader can understand my messaging and what I do, then I've probably done a good job, right? They had that whole game show, are you smarter than a fifth grader? So, that's the standard.
Yep.
Your messaging should be simple enough and clear enough that a fifth grader can absolutely understand what you do and what the benefit is to your customers.
Right.
Anything you want to add to that, Trevor?
No, I think that was really good. And we'll be ending close to our, goal of 15 minutes or less is what we try to do with you guys. We want to keep them quick for you. We know you're out and about and getting your stuff done. So let's do a quick recap of that. Simplicity equals speed, clarity, and trust. So it's really important to just simplify the process. Don't overcomplicate it. People, like Troy said, they only care about what they care about, which is usually if it's carpet cleaning, they care about their carpets being clean. They don't care if you have the latest and greatest machine that's the X95 9792-1 instead of the, -3 or whatever. Like, they don't care about that. What they care about is the result. That's why you want to show them the results, right? They want to feel confident. You want to have the reviews. You want, that peer review that tells them, yeah, this is awesome. They're great. They do an amazing job. My carpets were so clean. They got out the pee, from the dog. Those are the kind of things that they care about. They want to feel confident in you. They want to know that you do a good job, and they want to know that you can do the job, right? Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's really what everybody cares about. So, simplify is what we're talking about here. So this week's homework, pick one area in your business that you can simplify, right? Whether it's your website and what it's talking about on that website, of your services. Maybe it's marketing materials. Maybe it's systems and programs like Troy was talking about. Whatever that is, simplify, make it simpler, get down to the basics of why would someone hire you? And if that's what you're displaying and portraying, you're going to do really well. So, all right, guys. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. We're on every podcast channel out there. We're on YouTube. We're on all the social media sites. So one thing you can do is DM us, write a comment on YouTube. What are you going to simplify this week in your business? And we sure do love and appreciate you guys. You're absolutely the best. We love being with you each and every week, and we will catch you guys on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.